This podcast features immature people talking about very mature content and is intended only for adult audiences. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Pen is Mightier, the world's greatest and possibly only audio fanfiction and erotica competition. I'm your host, Paul J.P., and on today's episode, we have a great group of body brawlers who are ready to... I hear one of you giggling. They are ready to take it to the limit. Oh, fuck, what am I even talking about? Normally I write a new one of these at the beginning of, and I forgot to today. So we got three people who are ready to read porn. First off, we have a comedian who is the creator and executive producer of the show MCU Improvised, and one of the co-hosts of recently rebranded pop culture review podcast Rude Dude Takedowns. It's Bridget Cann.
Hello!
Woo!
Oh boy, have I been watching a lot of bad Netflix lately.
Oh yeah, you rebranded the podcast recently. It used to be just all about Riverdale.
Yes, which
And now
it won. It just won.
Riverdale.
It won. We couldn't. We were like, we're done. We can't. This is the worst show ever. It destroyed us. So I have no taste, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's all right. You've widened your scope, and now you're just taking down everything.
Yeah. Like your mom.
Yeah.
Well, with an attitude like that, you're not going to be getting my vote at the end of the episode.
Oh no, I've already shot myself in the foot.
Whoa.
Next, we have a member of alt comedy connoisseurs Fake Cops and an improv teacher at the Second City and Talent Inc. Canada who has performed at comedy festivals all across the continent. It's Simon McCamus.
Hello. It's me, Simon. Hi, Jake. Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, no, you just said hello like Jerry Lewis for some reason, and it kind of threw me.
Oh, nice.
And lastly, we have a musician and actor who just released... Yeah, it's not a great segue. I'm excited to introduce our next guest. Our final guest, we have a musician and actor who just released her debut solo EP, Mint and Roses, which is fantastic, by the way, and who starred in the film Ouija Shark. It's Zoe Towne.
Woo!
Hello.
That's how we say it on this show, right? Thank you for that introduction. That's something I'm proud of and something that happened.
Oh, I think that's not a very glowing way to describe your EP.
No,
I thought it was really good.
I meant Ouija Shark. This,
Oh.
Yeah. Like one thing that... Okay, never mind.
Well, I will let the audience know that I watched Ouija Shark of my own volition last month, and Zoe and I have been friends for a few years, and I did not know that Zoe was in Ouija Shark until her name popped up in the opening credits, and I immediately freaked out.
I couldn't believe that you would have watched it for any other reason. I still don't know how you came across it in the first place.
I'll be honest, it has a really good poster.
It does.
I was just
It
looking.
really has an
I was
impressive
looking for
poster.
something to add. Yeah, and I needed to fill out my list of movies to watch in October. It fit the bill. I had a lot of very, very serious ghost movies, and Ouija Shark was something on the other end of the spectrum that also sort of qualified. And I was very excited to see that you were in it. So
Okay, I have a burning question. What
Yes.
is this? Is it a ghost of a shark? Is it a summoned ghost?
It sounds like you've already seen it, Bridget.
Yay! I love guessing. I'm just very intrigued. It's because there's a time when like all those movies were about sharks. Remember, like Sharknado, Shark versus Giant Octopus, Megalodon.
oh yeah.
Does it fall into that canon? Is it all in the same universe? I have a lot of questions.
I hope so, but I don't know. It's just it is exactly what it sounds like, but I don't know. It's not really connected, I think, to any other shark movie, like directly, at least.
Strikes me as really funny as you're like, oh, my mom just died and there's this Ouija board. I'm going to contact her. And it's a shark instead.
It's a shark.
I cannot wait to watch this movie. I'm just pulling up the trailer, and oh my freaking god, this is incredible.
Watches this podcast single-handedly like ups the amount of views for this movie and downloads.
Oh yeah,
Hey, I hope so.
I only knew that
100%.
people were
That's
actually
crazy.
seeing it because people kept sliding into my DMs on Instagram and being like, "Hey, are you in this
Whoa.
shark movie? It's
Oh.
terrible. I love it." And I was like, "Oh, why? Thank
Oh.
you. Yes, I am. You're welcome, and I'm sorry."
To sort of try and explain a little bit of what the plot is, it's a character just finds a Ouija board in a lake and then uses
In a freshwater lake.
in a freshwater
Wait,
lake,
a freshwater lake.
and then at a party at which Zoe is one of the guests at the party, having a lot of fun, they decide to use the Ouija board in the middle of the day. Which I'll be honest, that was my only like real gripe with the movie. It was like, oh yeah, this is fine. This is exactly what I was expecting it to be. But using the Ouija board in the middle of the day while the sun was up,
That took you out of the movie. That was it.
A
That was
little
the
bit,
moment
yeah.
where you're like, no more. Mm-mm.
I just have to
I
tell you,
was-
this was supposed to be. It's supposed to be at a cabin in the woods.
it's quite clearly suburban Ottawa.
It's just a suburban backyard with a pool.
Oh, okay. Like there's other houses in the shot. Like,
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I
a low
feel
budget
bad.
film.
Oh my god, watching the trailer on silent as you described what it's about was the perfect combination of all. I highly encourage listeners to watch the trailer, put it on silent, and listen to Paul's recap. It's perfect.
watch the trailer, listen to my recap, but then please also
And then watch the
the
actual
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
it is available on Amazon Prime, on Prime
Yeah.
Video. You can watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And Zoe Towne is in it, and she's really, really funny.
Woo!
Thank you for that.
Great. Now that we've talked at length about Ouija Shark, which I think we all knew was going to happen,
Yeah.
I do want to also urge you again. Zoe released a brilliant EP last week or the week before, Mint and Roses.
Oh, thank you so
You
much.
can check it
Paul.
out on Spotify, buy it on Bandcamp. It's really, really great. So while you're all listening to that, pulling that up, finding your links, I'm going to explain how today's episode is going to work. These three performers are going to go head to head, presenting readings of erotica in hopes of winning the approval of the others. And along the way, we're going to play a couple of short bonus games for some bonus credit. At the end of the episode, we'll all collectively decide amongst ourselves who has done enough to be named the winner. And the theme of this week's episode, appropriately enough, is talent. I'm so lucky to be here with three very talented people, and I'm really excited to see what that word means to all of you in the context of erotica. So I know a little bit about some of the stories that you're bringing today, but is there anybody here who thinks they have the edge on the competition?
I'll just say that for mine, I worked out a lot of things and emotions of this month. So it's really actually quite personal to me, and I wrote these images in my brain, so I can't wait for them to be burned into yours.
Good, yeah, you used your talent.
Yeah, sure, let's go with that.
What about Zoe or Simon? How are you guys feeling about your stories?
Oh, I'm a dark horse at best, a Cinderella team at the ultimate.
Okay.
We're a sleeper agent. Yeah, we're gonna see how it's gonna go, pals. We're gonna see how it's gonna go. It's basketball themed, as anybody who knows me knows that's most of my mental activity is basketball related. So couldn't resist the opportunity to filter my love for a bouncing ball through this more erotic lens filter.
All right. Well, we've heard a little bit about your story, and Simon, I would like to start us off with your story. So, outside of this story that you've brought today, do you have any other experience with erotica or fan fiction that you'd like to share?
This is my first ever attempt at any sort of erotic arts, any fan fiction. I am popping my cherry tonight, guys, on multiple levels. Yeah, this is a first, and it's not at all an original story. Unfortunately, it's very much a revisionist take on the popular docuseries on Netflix called The Last Dance.
No!
That's what you're all in for. Get ready. Get ready. Shall I do it?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, my friend.
Let's do it. Greetings to all you fine, frisky listeners out there. This is your narrator, Bobby Wojciechowski, coming live to you from the home of the blues, home of the deep dish pizza, the Windy City, home sweet home, Chicago. This is an erotic fan fiction rendition of a groundbreaking ESPN documentary on the 1998 Chicago Bulls, now streaming on Netflix, The Last Dance. Erotic fan fiction presents The Last Dance edition. On a fateful day of June 19th, it's basically Gilbert Gottfried. On the fateful day of June 19th, 1984, the Chicago Bulls selected Michael Jordan with the 3rd overall pick in the NBA draft. This was the snowball that furiously rolled down a mountaintop, cascade into a full-blown avalanche, and take the league by the basketballs. Little did the world know that this day would mark the beginning of a new era, an era above ground, high in the sky, to be dominated by one man, and one man only. His monikers were endless, as were his exploits on the hard wood, as were his topless Nike, Gatorade, and Hanes underwear advertisement posters which adorned my bedroom wall. Strictly as a fan of his endorsements and savvy business acumen, of course. Though the NBA was midway through its golden age renaissance in the mid-1980s led by Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, there was no denying the future of the association belonged to number 23, the Black Cat, Black Jesus, MJ, his Airness, Air Jordan. But it wasn't just MJ and his otherworldly, well-endowed gifts that took the Chicago Bulls from the embarrassing cocaine circus it had been before Mike's arrival to the global phenomenon it had become in the 1990s. A year later, 1985, Chicago Bulls owner Jerry Reinsdorf hired Jerry Krause to be the general manager of the Bulls. But though Krause wasn't liked very much by his peers, Reinsdorf wasn't looking for a guy to win a popularity contest. Reinsdorf was looking for a guy to get the job done. And get the job done, Krause did. Beat it and leave it. Smash it and dash it. Love him and leave him. Taking names and kissing asses. This guy fucks, and he fucked his way to that top. To the tune of smart draft picks, timely free agent acquisitions, bold trades, and championship after championship after championship. Times 2!
You've gone from Gilbert Gottfried to John Mulaney.
I know, it's like a...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a real true adventure accent. The amount of championships the Bulls won in the 90s was to the amount of times I'd feel a euphoric sense of achievement in my groinal area anytime I took a personal 60-second timeout, if you know what I'm talking about. Every time I grip my fingers around my short but solid stick shift, I think of the 6 Larry O'Brien trophy sitting atop the window ledge of the Berto Center's management and ownership room, casting a cloud of unmatchable expectations over the lowly new young Bulls as they desperately try to perfect their hot and sweaty craft on the practice floor. The Bulls of today have a quarter at best the amount of brass in their balls that the Bulls of the 90s did. Hello, male enhancement advertisements on porn sites, are you listening? Send some products to the Berto Center, please, at 550 Lake Cook Road, Deerfield, Illinois. Maybe we'll get some wins going here once we get some wind in our sails and lead in our pencils, if you know what I'm talking about. But back to Jerry Krause. Upon his arrival, as the mercurial mastermind of basketball chess that he was, came with him a slew of eye-popping, sweet-stroking, rump-busting, tall glass of water refreshing personnel to make any fantasy basketball playing nerd on his computer run to the Shoppers Drug Mart to get himself a new supply of Kleenex boxes.
So Canadian focused.
Krause knew he needed some merry men to complete Jordan's fivesome if they were ever going to compete for the big prize at the end of the big finish. There would be no champagne bukkake dreams at the end of the season for Jordan without some wingmen to help him wheel and deal. So in 1987, Krause drafted Scottie Pippen. Scottie would blossom and go on to be the throbbing right hand of MJ's rise to the top. Krause then hired Doug Collins to be the new coach of the Bulls. Collins was loud, Collins was sweaty, and he had a great bod as he was a former NBA player himself. And he knew to get the ball in Michael's hands if the Bulls were going to win. Collins could see that every inch of Michael's freakishly long fingers were essential to giving the Bulls fans the full body quivers of jubilation they were so desperately aching for as they trudged their way through 3 feet of snow on a daily basis, no matter the time of the year. 2 years later, Krause fires Doug Collins and hired Phil Jackson to be the new head coach. Phil Jackson had been an important role player on the 1970s New York Knicks championship winning teams, along with having studied Native American histories and Buddhist principles and experiencing numerous LSD-powered hallucinations. This all combined to make a great leader on the court, in the locker room, and in the hearts, minds, and libidos of these emotionally fragile titans. By Phil Jackson's side was perhaps the greatest tactical strategist in the history of the game, Tex Winter. Tex Winter was the architect of the famed triangle offense. He'd been perfecting the sequences of ball movement and player movement over the years for various teams. But Tex's inspiration for the triangle offense came from none other than his beloved wife of 35 years, Dolores Donnelly. One fateful night of passion, Tex was conducting a splash-worthy performance of cunnilingus on his lawfully wedded partner in crime. And it was at this moment that the blueprint of teamwork perfection hit him like a ton of bricks as he engorged Dolores' vagina. Tex had carefully studied the shape of his spouse's groinal area, noticing her vulva, labia minora and majora, meeting her curving thighs and generous fupa, all converging to make one beautiful upside-down pyramid. As Tex finished making it rain from long distance, he knew, with the help of his lovely lady, he had struck basketball genius. With MJ taking the world by storm, Pippen following suit as the homoerotic Robin to Michael's Batman, and Phil Jackson looking like a tall, slim, sexy Commissioner Gordon, and Tex Winter as the always unpredictable Alfred of Wayne Manor, Krause had managed himself into an animated frenzy with hormones blaring and a not-so-modest chubby to boot. The Chicago Bulls, however, had yet to defeat the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons. Ooh. For 3 years in a row, the Bulls had succumbed to humiliating losses to the Bad Boys. The Bad Boys were rough, tough, mean, and lean. They hit, they pushed, they bit, and they pulled. They had whips and chains and clamps and hot candle wax. They had those young Bulls screaming for their mommies. as Mommy had been unanimously agreed upon by the Players Association to be the safe word of the NBA playoffs. But no Mommies came in those playoffs. And no Daddies either. It was full-on sexy torture. From 1988 to 1990, the Chicago Bulls were blue-balled from here to Lake Erie. This agony, however, set the stage for the biggest release ever recorded on NBC Sports, when the Chicago Bulls dethroned the Detroit Bad Boy Pistons and went on to win the 1991 NBA Finals. So Michael, Scotty, Phil, Jerry, and Jerry went on to win 2 more consecutive titles. Then Michael took a break because he had no more gas in the tank after having fucked the league's brains out. He filmed the sexiest cartoon of all time in Space Jam, came back to basketball, won another 3 titles with the Bulls, this time alongside his trusted bromantic interest Scottie Pippen, and the literal sex god himself, Dennis Rodman, who gave Wilt Chamberlain a run for his money. Having sex countless times on the Bulls logo at the center corner at the United Center after hours. True story. Then the Bulls danced their way to their 6th and final championship in 1998, capping off their stranglehold gangbang on the rest of the league with a champagne bukkake for all voyeurs to enjoy for a lifetime. The end.
Yeah.
Yay. Wow.
Sorry, guys.
Uh-oh.
Sorry for that.
That was
Oh,
incredible.
It was great. It was like John Mulaney was there.
Yeah. How are you feeling? Are you okay?
Oh man, I don't know, guys. Need a cigarette? Need a
Was it good for you?
Oh, it's, I don't even know how to explain it. Oh, whew. All right. So that's what sex is like. Okay. Oh, all right.
Congratulations, son. You're a man.
Thank you. Oh, thank God. Thank God.
I feel like I still don't know anything about basketball.
Here's the
nor
thing.
do I.
As somebody who knows like a little bit about basketball, that was remarkably educational.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You don't even need to
Well,
watch
I'm also
documentary
a
now.
teacher, so, yeah. Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
like
Thank
the
you.
bad boy Detroit Pistons, all that good stuff. I'll also say that I never knew until today that all I ever needed in life was to hear the word bukkake in a Chicago accent. And you said it twice. What a treat.
It really added something.
Paul, anytime you need to celebrate something, just give yourself the pleasure of a champagne bukkake.
Oh my god. Yum. Just yum. Yum, yum, yum.
Delish.
Open
Well,
my
thank-
mouth and fill me up, ladies and gentlemen.
No!
Is this character going to be here for the rest of the podcast?
No, he's gone.
Isn't that going to
My
hurt you
girlfriend's already
after a
looking
while?
at me. Yeah, it hurts. Oh God, my voice hurts so much.
Oh, my word. Thank you so much, Simon, for that story.
You're
That
so
was
welcome.
great.
Oh, thank you all for listening to that. Whatever that was. Yeah, that was fun.
Okay. From there, let's swing into our first bonus game.
Yay!
This game is a game that I love to play on this show, and it is called A Rose by Any Other Name. How it works is I'm going to give y'all the title of a story that I found on fanfiction.net, and based only on the title, I would like you to try and guess the property that it was written about. Sound good?
Okay.
Bueno.
Alrighty. So our first title is Faux Pas de Mélange.
My goodness.
What?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear your guess.
An American in Paris.
Okay.
I'm going to go with my first instinct, even though I feel like
Okay.
it's wrong. But you got to trust your gut. I'm going to go with Ratatouille.
Okay.
that makes so much
Ratatouille.
sense. Good call.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I also have like a gut. I don't know why.
Yeah,
but
let's hear it.
it's gonna be specifically an episode of Paw Patrol where instead of the dogs, it's cats, and they're the faux paws.
Wow. True.
See, you think that not only did I grab a Paw Patrol story for this game. I chose a specific episode of Paw Patrol.
Right.
Well, it's like so it's spec script, for Paw Patrol.
Expected you to be able to guess that specific episode.
Oh, we got to
You
stay
think
ready,
that's what
man.
I did
We don't know
today?
what you're going to throw at us.
It's true. I don't know, man. It's fan
No
fiction.
idea.
Listen, I almost picked a story called "Trapped on an Island" with Josh Hutcherson. So here we are.
There you go.
All right, fair enough.
Our rooms are filled with post-it notes, like conspiracy theories. Getting ready for you, bro.
Connecting it all together.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What is it, Paul?
It is not that specific episode of Paw Patrol. It's Frasier.
Whoa! Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, with those dolls out there and grab them.
Yeah, I figured choosing a story that was actually called Tossed Salad would be a little too easy, so I went with Faux Pas de Melange. I thought it was just
Wow.
irritating enough.
Wow. Make it
So
harder
it's a
for
Frasier
us,
story.
why don't you?
I've never
Okay,
seen
all
Frasier, so
Nobody's going to get the point on that one. I don't think. Our second title of the round is Of Wind and Fire.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Game of Thrones.
It is not Game of Thrones.
Damn it.
I can see why you would guess Game of Thrones, though.
Mm-hmm. Right. Elements, earth stuff,
is it Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Ooh. It's not Avatar: The Last Airbender, but that's a damn good guess.
That was like the next one I was going to guess, but I'm going to say, is it Battle of the Bands?
Battle of the Bands. Is that the name of a specific
Can I
property?
say, no, specifically, can I say A Drumline starring Nick Cannon?
Oh man, greatest movie ever. Slept on.
That's my final answer.
Your final answer is Drumline starring Nick Cannon.
Damn straight.
It is not Drumline starring Nick Cannon.
Oh.
But Bridget, these are some Hall of Fame guesses. I'm going to give Zoe the point on this one.
All right.
Of Wind and Fire is a Captain Planet story.
Oh.
Damn it.
So, Captain Planet's, it's got the elements in there. It's also a
Yeah.
cartoon. So,
Yeah.
Okay,
And heart.
cool.
And heart.
yeah, I think Zoe was pretty goddamn close there.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take the win. The point on that.
We've got one more title for this game, and it is Two Boys, One Goblet.
Well, Harry Potter feels like the most obvious
Yeah.
one. You know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna just be obvious.
Yeah, you're going to be obvious on this one?
I mean,
You're going to guess Harry Potter? No, this is a weird, obscure episode of the Disney children's show Vampirina.
or like My Babysitter is a Vampire, right? Remember that one? Starring Vanessa Morgan. Guys, I've been watching a lot of shitty, bad Netflix, okay? It could be anything. Yeah, I'm gonna lock in with Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, okay.
Damn it.
Simon, I can hear you thinking hard.
Yeah, I should have jumped on it.
I'm trying to think of anything that isn't Harry, because my mind is just like a Harry Cedric pairing, or something.
Very sexy.
Am I allowed to pick the same thing, or does it have to be different?
You can. If you also think it's Harry Potter, I'm totally fine with you committing to that.
Oh, what? Then we all get a point if we're all right?
If you're all right, yeah.
All right, then I'm going Harry Potter too.
Yeah, me
All right,
too.
so everybody thinks it's Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Ooh, this is like the prisoner's dilemma of fan fiction.
Well, if everybody is going with Harry Potter, I'm very sorry to say, Simon, you're going to kick yourself because this one is Game of Thrones.
Oh,
Oh no!
Oh,
In that very specific episode between Sam and a White Walker, right?
So by a score of 1-0, Zoe takes this game.
yeah.
Zoe and a Michael Jordan of fan fiction episode. Not sure which episode this is. But way to go!
Thank you so much. I'm not even gonna try to do it. No, I can't. I was absolutely not.
This would be great if this was like a Chicago episode.
Oh yeah. I'm also just
Second
evolving
City.
into a Coach Steve from Big Mouth.
That's what I was thinking of too. Oh yeah, you know yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna stop.
That's it.
I'm gonna stop. I swear.
All right. We'll give you a chance to relax a little bit, regroup, because we've got another story coming through the pipe, and that story is going to be brought to us by Bridget Cann. Now, Bridget, you've told me a little bit about the story that you've brought for us today, so I'm just going to turn the floor over to you, and you can explain or
I have to do a
leave
little bit of
completely
explaining
unclear.
because I did write in the text to explain things because like I'm doing a very specific style of fan fiction. Just to set the stage, I am very well versed in fan fiction. I love bad fan fiction. I even reread some fan fictions this pandemic. For fun. But this is about something I'm really obsessed with right now, which is called the Omegaverse. So the Omegaverse is a series of tropes, usually about male on male, but there is heterosexual relationships in this genre of based on bad wolf science pornography. So the idea of it is that there's alphas, there are betas, there are omegas. In this story, betas don't matter. Sorry, betas out there, you don't matter. But an alpha has sex with an omega because an omega has like hormones that they send out and that makes them sexually viable, I guess. And they're the bottoms, essentially. It's a weird way of saying top and bottom, honestly, if you're more like of that lingo. But there's a lot of like wolf anatomy that comes into play. It's a fan fiction trope. The best thing about it right now is that an author wrote an original fan fiction where she filed off the numbers of her Bane fan fiction from A Dark Knight Rises. She turned it into a book. And now she's basically copyright striking anyone who writes non-con het Omegaverse literature. It's an amazing litigation that's going on that made all the way to like the courts in America. I highly recommend looking it up because it's like a very interesting a story on copyright. And also, it's really fun to imagine a judge had to read thousands of pages of porn for this case.
Just porn. We're not talking like any normal,
like
bad, vanilla pornography.
Bad wolf science porn. And when I mean bad wolf science, I mean like the guy who first suggested the idea of alpha in the pack has said, "I'm wrong. This doesn't exist in wolf packs."
Did you say I looked closer and realized they were parents? Just parents leading children? Isn't that what he said after?
Yes, yeah. So alphas don't really exist. When someone says, "Oh, I'm an alpha," just think, "Oh, bad wolf science." Like that's what that means. Is that person doesn't know how wolves work.
Yeah, you'll be able to think of specifically the story Bridget is about to read.
Yeah, I couldn't go graphically into some really great stable houses of Omegaverse. There's some really fun stuff such as knotting. Look up at your own risk. But my story today
that brought
so my story is something I had a lot of obvious turmoil in November because I don't know when I think this episode's probably coming out December, Paul, is that correct?
Yeah, it's going to come out, I believe, the first week of December.
So it's this is about the election. I don't know how much you guys focused on the election, but it consumed me. Like I feel like most people, like that. Who else was checking their news? And then when things started happening, I wrote this story. It feels so good. The title of it is "Gritty in the House."
Oh no.
On November 7th, 2020, everything changed. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, was holed up in the Oval Office, eyes glued to a projector screen, and watched Nevada turn blue. Nervous, COVID-ridden political aides watched as the POTUS threatened to have a meltdown beyond nuclear. Dawn had just lost.
"Sir, do you still want to go through with your address at the Four Seasons?"
asked a skittish aide, not wanting to admit that said venue booked was a landscaping company. "Everyone out!" Donald Trump thundered.
"But, sir!"
"Out now!" The meek pundit scurried out of the room. Trump was alone. He had been for a long time. Melania had taken the kids and left earlier that week when it was rumored she had voted for Biden. Trump went behind his desk to the window that overlooked the White House grounds. Could this be it? Had he finally become a loser? The thought alone frightened him. Trump could never be a loser. That was unacceptable. He had fought too long, too hard to concede defeat. Because if he did, a pounding at the door jolted Trump from his thoughts. Trump quickly drew the blinds and hustled to the door. I told you I want to be alone. Donald froze to the sound of multiple squeaker toys. Terror flooded his entire body as he realized who had come for him. Terror and arousal? No, it couldn't be. Donald waddled to the nearest portrait of George Washington and braced it against the door, hoping it would be enough. God damn you! Donald screeched as the portrait buckled from the sheer force of pounding on the door. Donald scurried as fast as his little petulant legs could carry him to the other side of the room, cursing everyone he could possibly think of out loud. That beta cuck, Joe Biden, Kamala, Ariana Grande for not endorsing him. They all made him a loser. And being a loser meant Donald J. Trump was going to come face to face what he actually was. An Omega. And Omega's role in society was to submit to their alpha, to be at the bottom, to fulfill any and all desires of the alpha, even sire their children. Donald had resisted the urge all his life, building his land-developing companies, his reality TV show, his run as president. Everyone thought it was to avoid his many sexual misconduct allegations or his millions of dollars in tax fraud, but nay. For Donald, having to submit to his preordained alpha was a fate worse than death. Crack! Donald stared, transfixed at the door. The moment he lost the election, his Omega hormones must have been released into the air. Oh, who is he kidding? The hormones were released when he lost Pennsylvania to that jar of human mayonnaise, Joe Biden. His alpha knew exactly where he was, and he had come to finally collect what Don had foregoed all these years. Smash! A hockey stick splintered through the door. George Washington's portrait completely slashed through like a knife through butter. A pair of deranged, googly eyes surrounded by a mane of violent orange hair stared through the door. Donald, it's me! What? It was Donald Trump's true alpha. Gritty, the Philadelphia hockey mascot, emerged through the threshold with an immense, girthy dick. It was long and orange, with a mound of orange hair at the base. Donald had never been so aroused in his life, but no! He needed to resist. He couldn't succumb to Gritty's erotic waves. Gritty slowly began to undress, taking off his Philadelphia Flyers jersey in a sensual striptease that left Don gasping for air. Or it could have been residual COVID symptoms. Who's to say? Gritty was naked before dawn, his body resembling Grimace if he had grown mold. Donald flushed. He had never been attracted to another creature as much as Gritty. Donald began to wrestle with his trousers. He could feel a throbbing erection begging to break free. Donald wanted Gritty, needed Gritty. He was ready to submit everything to Gritty. Donald got on all fours and began gently sucking Gritty's gargantuan dick, all the while caressing his large hairy balls like they were two misbehaving Pomeranians. Gritty let out a moaning dog toy, and Donnie knew he liked it. Donald pressed Gritty's dick to the back of his throat, daring deeper and deeper, for he had no gag reflex. He was rewarded with the hot custardy splurge of Gritty's cum, splattering his face like a Jackson Pollock painting. Gritty pulled Donald back by his thinning, gingery toupee, staring deep into Donald's eyes as if to say, "You are mine." Donald's eyes began to tear up. All he ever wanted was to be so deeply wanted. He ran his fingers gently through Gritty's tangled tangerine mane and whispered, "I won the election." Gritty flipped Donald over, pressing him against the presidential desk. Gritty rested his giant penis between the ample folds of Donald's butt crack, infuriatingly teasing the entrance of his anus. Nasty! Donald cooed. He hadn't douched in ages. Gritty's throbbing erection balanced at the base of Trump's sphincter as Gritty slowly spread Donald's ass cheeks. And with a single thrust, Gritty plunged into the defunct POTUS intestinal depths. Donald gritted his teeth. The impact was just too much. He was going to split in two. With each thrust of Gritty's mammoth cock, Donald was sent on an endless roller coaster of lust and sexual ecstasy. I am so talented at sex. I am the best at sex. Donald feeling the validation he always wanted. Faster and faster, Gritty thrusted, his pecker growing larger and larger in Donald's poop womb. I am going to come, Donald moaned. Gritty gripped Donald's hips tightly and released a deluge of sperm so powerful it passed through Donald's entire digestive system and fully expanded Don's stomach. As Gritty exited, a waterfall of cum pour out of Donald's ass and onto the carpet. Spent, Donald gasped with his ass in the air as cum pooled around him. Now what, Donald thought? Finally admit defeat? Faces his losses with dignity? Gritty stared at him, stared through to his very soul, and Donald J. Trump came to the terrifying realization. Bad things do happen in Philly. So I worked through some shit in this one.
My word.
Just wow.
God,
Wow.
I think I broke a rib.
Oh, no, not again.
I had to
that was
Google what
amazing.
Gritty looks like very early on in the story. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I guess the other thing you need to know, if you weren't following the memes that were coming up because of the election, when Philadelphia turned blue, Pennsylvania turned blue, everyone attributed it to Gritty, and then Gritty somehow became a liberal icon, like like a socialist icon.
A few years ago, the internet decided that Gritty is Antifa.
Gritty. It's kind of funny because like when you get familiar with like fascist memes and like for example, Pepe the frog is a classic white supremacist like fascist meme. The fact that Gritty is the social justice champion is just like, wild in comparison.
Okay, but can you explain why there's an article saying Gritty vindicated, Philadelphia Flyers mascot cleared of punching child?
Okay,
my God.
Sounds right. Sounds.
I can.
Well, hey, listen. If you're
shed some
gonna
light
lead
on
a
it.
revolution, you're gonna punch your kid along with it.
That's my favorite meme
all comes out in the
stated
wash.
about Gritty. It's liberté, equalité, gritté.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God.
You know what?
I
Sometimes you
feel
gotta
like
punch
we
a
need to
kid.
make it clear. Gritty never actually punched a child.
I'm guessing
He
that's
was
what they mean.
accused of punching a child. It never happened.
Oh, I'm glad.
There's no evidence to suggest that Gritty actually, as the accusation said, punched a child in the back of the head.
But also,
didn't do
Gritty
it.
would never.
I would also never put it past him though. Gritty's like
He's a wild
considered
card.
chaotic good. That's where he falls in alignment.
It's it's another thing to promote today is Gritty's Instagram. I'm a follower. I'm a big fan. Gritty is incredible. Gritty, if you're listening, I love you. Please come on the show. Holy shit, Bridget, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was
Thank
so
you.
wild.
I worked through a
That was
lot in that
incredible.
one.
Who needs a
I-
therapist?
I have one redaction of this was a good friend of mine, Chris Middleton, who's been on the podcast before.
Yes, I was going to
he-
say he was the champion of
Yeah,
our third
he
episode.
suggested this, and I was like, I don't know, I'm already really pushing on some heavy duty Omegaverse stuff. But he did suggest instead of just the stomach inflation of cum, just have a sprinkler system come out of his mouth, which is another very classic kind of tropey thing. So that's a visual too.
Yeah.
You can add on top of that one if you really want.
I did not, but thank
Bit
you.
much. One line that I do really want to highlight, and I need to tell you, Bridget, how much I loved it, because I think it's going to get lost under the radar, is that Trump trying to barricade himself in the room, you said he grabbed the nearest portrait of George Washington.
I'm assuming there's multiple in there.
That there were like 4 of them in the room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I just like the idea of him just buckling, ruining portraits. Honestly, he's a ruinous man. I really hope this doesn't get dated and he doesn't start a dictatorship next year. I hope he gets kicked out. That'll be great.
That's all right. Gritty will lead us
to victory and freedom.
Man.
Thank you for describing Gritty's cock, and let's move on to our second king. This game is my favorite game that we play on the show, and it is called Fill That Gap. I'm going to read the beginning of a line from a story that I found on fanfiction.net, and I would like you all to take a crack at completing the line. Our first line in Fill That Gap begins thusly. When he finally opens his mouth again, it's to a soft, broken little moan that Tony Stark has no trouble placing in context. He gives blank.
He gives Peter Parker a little wink, knowing that rascal is at it again.
Simultaneously innocent with calling Peter Parker a little rascal, and also not, because Peter Parker is a child.
I says what I says.
You says what you says. No problem. Zoe, Simon?
He gives Steve Rogers a loving pat on the ass and says, "Good job, champ."
You know what? I think that's the level of eroticism that Captain America would be comfortable with. Simon, do you have a guess?
He gives Banner a big tap on the butt and says, "Wow, you really smashed that one."
All right, so we've got 2 ass pats. But we do also have a Hulk-themed pun. I think Simon is going to get the point on this one.
Whoa!
Science Bros pairing.
The full line reads, when he finally opens his mouth again, it's to a soft, broken little moan that Tony Stark has no trouble placing in context. He gives his balls a little squeeze, rolls them through his fingers, and pretends it's Bruce's tongue.
Oh, my.
Wow.
Oh,
That's from...
Science Bros, right.
It's from an Avengers story where every chapter is a different Avenger masturbating. So I went with that one because it was the best one. It felt a little too sacrilegious to do the Captain America one. He's so pure.
Yeah.
I love him.
I love him too.
We're married, he and I. Not showing off. But just
Not showing off. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Okay, our second line for Fill That Gap. He always felt like they were like a perfect match, and he had been in love with her since that first day when he ran into her when he was 16. Bert was brought out of his daydream by blank. So, what are we thinking?
By a big red fuzzy cock from Ernie.
Okay, so we think it's Bert from Bert and Ernie.
I was like, Burt Reynolds?
Any other thoughts? Any other guesses?
The insistent squeaking of Ernie's rubber duckies in the tub and his dulcet tones tearing his heart apart.
Oh. His dulcet tones tearing. Is Ernie breaking up with Bert while taking a bath?
Maybe. I think he's just singing "Rubber Ducky, you're the one," and Bert's like aware that he's fallen in love with someone else. He's about to break up with his boyfriend. Sorry, I need a beta for my suggestion. With all that
Oh.
context, that's my answer.
That is really that's moving.
I'm gonna go in a different direction.
Okay.
Just, what was the last few words of the thing? The prompt?
Bert
was
was
brought
brought
out
out
of
of
his-
his daydream by
the feeling of his wife's heaving breasts behind him. She wrapped her arms around him in a hug. I don't know. He said she.
yeah,
I just feel just put a woman in
Yeah.
there.
just any woman.
Sounds like a typical male writer. Wayo.
Ew.
Ayo.
It's not just any woman is the thing. Our full line. He always felt like they were like a perfect match, and he had been in love with her since that first day when he ran into her when he was 16. Bert was brought out of his daydream by a cool breeze on his cock as Mary Poppins pulled down his pajamas and boxers.
Oh,
heck?
step in time.
That part, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh.
The story I pulled that from is a very sweet story, but does also involve a lot of Mary Poppins licking penis. So
Just licking.
it's well, that's
That's
to
a
begin with,
wholesome
yeah.
story.
Hey, Papa, step on me.
What?
Step on me.
Oh God. Okay, so we had two guesses for Bert and Ernie, both of which are completely wrong, and one guess for just a wife. I don't think I'm gonna give anybody a point on this one.
All right.
I can respect that.
Equal.
Fair
Um,
enough.
We've got one more for Fill That Gap. And the line begins, Marge, caught off guard, was moaning while blank.
While Homer crammed a box of donuts up his butt.
Okay. Crammed a box. Crammed.
Crammed. Cram him up
Good.
there. Get him up there. Cram it in. Cram it up.
Any other thoughts?
Can I get one more line repeat?
Of course. Marge, caught off guard, was moaning while.
Pee Wee Herman decided to finally jump scare her in her vagina.
So we're going with Large Marge from Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh God, I don't know. Well, Homer. I'm gonna also go with Homer because that's the only Marge I can
Yeah,
think
it's
of.
the only thing I could think of.
Made sweet love to her vagina.
Okay. So the full line reads, Marge, caught off guard, was moaning while Ned Flanders sucked and fondled her breasts.
It's a cucking story. A cucking.
is.
Whoa.
So I think Simon and Zoe got the correct Marge, but you both went with Homer. So do I give the point to made sweet love to her vagina or crammed donuts up his own ass?
Let's take it to an audience vote.
Oh,
Well,
boy.
one is involving pleasuring her, and the other is stuffing donuts up his own ass.
You know, that's a very
But
good
one of them
point.
was very creative.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then one of them does, feature an oblique reference to the show in the form of donuts. You know what?
Paul, I swear to God, man, you better get this right, man. You better make the right call, man.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do.
This is serious stuff.
I'm gonna call this specific one a tie between Simon and Zoe.
No way, no ties.
But,
Zoe
but
takes
what
it or
that,
I take it. There's gotta
But
be a
what-
winner.
Simon, if you'll let me fucking finish, I'm about to give you the game. That brings the score for this bonus game to 2 points for Simon. So Simon takes our second bonus game of the day.
Whoa!
Are you happy, Simon? Are you satisfied?
Honestly, now I know how Michael Jordan feels. The empty feeling of winning. It's just
Yeah.
not.
You should
It's
go back
not-
to basketball, Simon.
I should.
You
I
should quit
should.
baseball, Simon.
I should. Oh, what was I thinking? God damn it.
Go on and slam, and welcome to the jam.
Jam.
Please don't whisper that.
Slam. And welcome to the jam.
Everybody get up.
It's time to slam down. Everybody. It's time to get down. It's
Hey, ladies. Y'all ready to stop? Y'all want to know why? Because it's the Slam Jam.
slam
Okay.
down, get down.
This is the best ASMR I've ever heard.
Hey, you, what you gonna do? Okay.
I don't know the lyrics. Yeah. Which is really embarrassing because I should know the lyrics.
All right.
All right.
Simon takes our bonus game there, but we have one more story left to hear before we declare a winner. Is this one going to take it? It is a story brought to us by Zoe Towne. Now, Zoe, I know you do have some fanfic experience because this live show before I ran it in Toronto, I used to run it in Ottawa, where you were a regular guest.
I was. I remember, I think, going to my first fan fiction show, I think pretty early on when you had started it. And I asked you, hey, has anyone ever read My Immortal? The infamous Harry Potter goth fan fiction. You said, Zoe, I've been waiting for someone to come along and read it.
Yeah.
I said, can I be that person?
You broke the My Immortal cherry?
Not only
I
did Zoe
did.
break the My Immortal cherry, she came in costume,
Oh my goodness.
and people loved it so much
I mean-
that we had Zoe back every month to continue reading the story.
Damn.
It took about 2 years.
Yeah, it's 44
Yeah.
chapters.
Holy
Yeah, it
smokes.
was a lot. I was once recognized on the street.
You were recognized on the street?
Really?
I was recognized by people as like Ebony because I would walk in character and do the whole thing as Ebony, Darkness, Dementia, Raven Way,
Mm.
who
And
hid
Moby.
preps,
That's
and
Oh.
Moby.
Well, see, here's the thing. You were that person for the show in Ottawa, and I had been running the live show in Toronto for about 3 years when we sort of shut down because everybody had to because of the pandemic. But man alive, I've been running this show in some form or another for almost 6 years, and while
Wow.
it was great to be asked that question, like, has anybody ever read it before? That first time, it's become it's become really amazing that, like, it's like, oh, do you want to be on the fan fiction show? And people be like, oh my god, yeah, Paul, have you ever heard of My Immortal? Like, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I've
Yes.
heard of My Immortal.
How could you not? Oh my
Well, to be
goodness.
fair, a lot of the performers who go on here do not know the world of fan fiction. So like
It's-
they come
it's
across
true.
it and they're like, "Oh my god, what?" Whereas anyone who's been on the internet for a hot minute is like, "Oh no, this is like the greatest mystery of all time. Who wrote this story?"
Oh, absolutely.
Like I said, I did fan fiction for a long time. I've been around.
Mhm.
I've heard a lot, but I've mostly just read the one because it took that long.
Right.
And then like another like really disturbing furry anthropomorphic one about the Blue Jays logo. Ace. I don't know. Anyway.
Was I there for that?
So it was like the
don't
first,
think
I think,
I
like
was.
wrte your own contest, and I wrote one, or sorry, I read one
Oh.
that my friend Jake wrote. He gets skinned alive. It's it's so
Jeez.
so
My
messed up.
lord.
Anyways,
What-
so I
What
have
the fuck are you
this
people
was the
doing up there
first
without
time.
me?
so much, so many things. So this is my first time really diving in and looking for one from scratch, and I had a hard time trying to find something that really captured the essence of what I was looking for. Because you see, you said the theme was talent, and
Yeah.
I've been rewatching Glee the past several months, and
Oh, boy.
I knew that was where I wanted to go with this because it's so absurd. But I couldn't find something that was funny enough, but also didn't involve some weird, messed up stuff with minors.
Yeah.
So I wrote one.
Oh, okay, great.
Swing for the
to get that sweet
fences.
spot. Thanks. So, all right. So, shall I begin?
Please, yeah, I cannot wait.
I present the solo dilemma. The hour was late. The auditorium empty. After a long day of teaching, Will Schuster liked to have some time to himself at the school. Glee Club had been difficult today, all the students arguing endlessly about who was most deserving of a solo, and they didn't seem nearly enthusiastic enough about his idea to perform a journey medley at regionals. They were fools. Silly teenage fools, but God, he loved them. Some may say that his relationship with his students was inappropriate, unnecessarily close, or downright creepy. But that wasn't going to stop him from treating them like his only friends. It wasn't his fault that he had no adult friends. Other adults just didn't get him. They were too busy with their boring corporate jobs and houses and 401ks. They didn't understand what it was to be a dreamer, to be a star. He was simply better than other adults, and they didn't know it, but he did. He strolled across the stage, looking out at that darkness of the auditorium, and started to wonder, what am I doing wrong? Shouldn't a man like me, a white rapper with dazzling pelvic dance moves, be destined for greatness? A sudden fit of rage overtook him. Why didn't the children respect him? Why didn't they bow down before his infinite knowledge of all things show choir? Why did they make him doubt himself and his position as the most important thing in their lives? Suddenly, a spotlight hit him on the stage where he stood. He began to sing, angrily, thrashing around the stage, chaotically as he cried to the heavens, God, send me a sign. Will we win regionals? Who should lead the solo? Send me a sign. Send me a messenger. He ripped down a curtain in a dramatic flourish. If there had been anyone around to see it, they would have been very impressed. Wow, he was strong. But then, what had been hidden behind the curtain came into view. A mirror, dusty and old. He saw a figure, dark and powerful, looking within the mirror. He felt a trickle of fear down his back, although that may have been sweat from the previous display of musical manliness. He moved closer, trembling with trepidation. Was this the sign he had been looking for? Or something darker? As he moved closer, the figure seemed to grow. Wait a minute, was that... It was him! Backlit by the spotlight, he appeared as a dark shape. But once he came closer, he could see plain as day. That was him in the mirror. He laughed at himself for his momentary fear. How could he think he had been sent some sort of creature or messenger? What he beheld in the mirror was good old Will Schuster himself. Or was it?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He thought he glimpsed something not quite right. A movement from the mirror Will that didn't quite line up with his own. He looked into his own eyes, those sparkling hazel eyes, and saw one of them wink. He stumbled back, heart pounding, with what should have been fear. Clearly this mirror was haunted. Clearly this mirror Will had a mind of his own. Clearly he should run. But what had him stumbling back was not fear, but a feeling in his gut he had only felt before with, well, his ex-wife Terry, and maybe Emma and that other show choir woman. Pure, unadulterated arousal. That wink, so powerful, that glint in his eyes, so alluring. He shook his head. He had to focus. If this was no mere reflection, maybe this was the answer to the prayers he had just cried out for. An answer, a message. And the message was clear. The most talented and handsome man he had ever known. Himself. He was the answer to his own prayers. He had never realized before how very sexy he was. The mirror will started licking his lips, and he felt that flutter again in his stomach. What was he supposed to do? How was he supposed to communicate? He reclaimed those few steps toward the mirror, no longer afraid, only entranced. He looked at the rolled-up sleeves of his reflection, his vest, his undeniable sex appeal, and he knew what he had to do. He had to fuck himself. Mirror Will nodded as if reading his horny mind and blew him a kiss. Ugh! The power of those lips, his lips, prompted his cock to twitch. How had any woman ever resisted him? He reached out a hand to the mirror, determined to touch the man within, to tear his clothes off. But at the point of connection, he felt only cool glass. Frustration took him over again, and he roared into the darkness of the empty auditorium. He panted for a moment, tried to regroup, to think of some way to be satisfied. And then it hit him. Like every genius idea he had ever had in Glee Club, he would dance for the Mirror Will. Hit it, he said to no one in particular. And yet a beat started to fill the stage. He thrust his hips. He did fancy footwork. He did some kind of version of the worm where it looked like he was fucking the floor. The Mirror Will approved, grooving and nodding along. He backed away and took a running start and then slid on his knees right up to the mirror, then thrusting his pelvis into the air. The Mirror Will began to strip, so he did too, and he knew he had done it. They were both naked, except for their signature vests, staring at each other, fully erect and breathing heavily. Will pressed himself against the icy, cold glass as hard as he could, and while he could not pass through, his cock could. And then he saw himself going down, 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 all the way to his knees, and the hand that reached up to grab his throbbing manhood. Those thin, pale lips lifted up to the tip, now glistening with pre-cum. And the Mirror Will started to sing into his dick like a microphone. The confusion lasted only a moment before he felt the overwhelming godly power of his own voice cascading over his shaft like a water cannon of pleasure. He gripped the edges of the frame to keep him on his feet. Though his legs were shaking, the beautiful notes were gripping him, working him in waves, tickling his balls. The low notes, the high, all of them working in tandem to suck him off like he had never been sucked before. Oh, he cried, I'm gonna come. And as if the sound of the Mirror Will's voice had traveled up his urethra and through his entire body, when he came, his cry was a single note of music, so pure and beautiful that he was transcended. He saw the universe. He saw his future. He saw regionals. He realized with absolute certainty that he must be the one to sing the solo, and those ungrateful, talentless children would be his backup. When he opened his eyes, he was back to reality, standing mostly naked on the public school stage, in front of an old dusty mirror, with only his normal reflection staring back at him. He looked around, still shaking from his epiphany, and quickly dressed himself. Perhaps it had been a dream. He looked back towards the mirror. But then where had the cum gone?
Woo!
Oh my
Man in the mirror.
So that's the first bit of creative writing I've done in
My
years.
God.
Oh my word, that was brilliant.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be dreaming of that entire thing tonight. The stage and the mirror.
Oh, you're welcome.
Snapped his fingers to no one.
Oh, I'm so glad when you're like, I just didn't want
Hit
any
it.
minors involved. And I'm like, but then who would get with Will Schuester? Of course, himself.
Of course. Of course.
Himself.
My
of course.
favorite image there is him sort of like coming up to the mirror, unable to pass through it, and roaring to the empty auditorium like an animal.
So dramatic, so in pain. Filled with longing.
I love that story so much.
Why can't I get to myself through the mirror?
Oh, now it's just a matter of me trying to decide which MIDI version of a mirror-based song I want to put under that.
Nobody's listening to me.
Would it also be really funny though? He's like, "Hello, it's me."
Hard stop. Full stop.
Hello from the other side of the mirror.
And the classic drop of the Journey medley as well.
Well, he didn't stop believing in having sex with himself, so.
Oh my lord!
Hey.
Oh fuck! That was such a good story. Thank you so much, Zoe, for that.
I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so happy to have you, guys.
Just
Oh my! Those 3 stories, all of your stories were so good.
It was a real team effort tonight. What a bunch of great stories.
Is
Filled
He's
with
back.
erotic sensuality.
boy, champagne bukkakis for everybody.
Yeah!
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
My story's gonna be really sad if like they overthrow the American government to establish a dictatorship.
Well, if that happens, it'll be at some point in January, and this episode will have already come out. So.
Oh, good.
All right.
There'll be at least a month where it's fine. Right?
We'll be okay.
Things couldn't just immediately get worse.
Impossible.
Only for now.
They've never done that before.
Never.
Not in 2020. No, this has been
No.
the best year ever.
Ooh.
Best year. Best year, no doubt.
All right, gang. That means that our only thing left to do today, now that we've heard all our stories, we've played all our bonus games, is we're all going to go around and decide who we think is the champion today. And I don't know about y'all, but this is really tough. Man, so all right, I'm gonna go alphabetically by last name. Bridget, you get to decide first.
Oh,
Who
I
do
get to
you think
decide
is the winner
first.
today?
Oh, that's so hard.
Yeah.
I think because, I mean, I wrote my story based on a meme, so I think I'm going to have to go for the story that had the most meme-ish quality, and I think Simon just bringing John Mulaney onto this podcast is really... It's been a great highlight, although Will Schuester just getting dicked down by himself is also a great one.
Man.
I'm going to have to... It's just
It's a
a
coin
little
flip.
bit... John Mulaney cinches it for me, so I'm going to give my point to Simon.
To Simon. All right, Simon, you
Generous,
come
very
next in the on the roster. Who do you think was today's winner?
Man, this is very tough. This is like NBA MVP voting for me. All right, this
Yeah.
is like when it.
Good.
Oh man, I think what put it over the top for me was Gritty, and then looking up what Gritty looks like, and then having that image in my head of him splitting Trump apart. Oh, as much as I loved Will Schuester screaming to no one, banging himself on the mirror with all manner of rap and oohs and ahs. Oh, it's so hard to pick, but I gotta go. I gotta go Gritty. I gotta go Gritty for the win with the Trump the Trump story.
Okay.
Very hard call. Very hard call.
Yeah, it's a really, really tough call.
Yeah.
Zoe, who do you think is the winner today?
I'm also very torn because, yeah, Simon, that accent, that commitment, absolutely beautiful. But yeah, the visceral quality of Bridget's story. I'm gonna have to.
It's only right.
I'm gonna have to give it to Bridget.
It's only right.
Oh my gosh.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I worked out so much shit in that story.
And man,
and it paid off, baby.
I cannot stress enough. I loved all the stories that I heard today. I'm in agreement here. I have to give the edge to Bridget. I mean, bringing Gritty onto the show. You pressed the glowing red button. You went nuclear.
Well, I hope also this is the first time Donald has been featured on the show.
Hey.
It is not the first time
No!
Donald has been featured on the show.
Darn. But
So, we did have our good friend Jeff Cork read a story about Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin.
oh, no.
I didn't
Hot.
enjoy getting ass blasted by Putin or Gritty.
It
Gritty
did.
even less so. It hurt a lot. Okay.
Oh.
His story did feature the phrase Trump hole, so
Oh,
I mean, it was
Nice.
good.
By
But,
Trump hole. Okay.
I don't think Jeff would be offended that adding Gritty to the equation really made it. So I'm quite happy to announce that our winner today is Bridget Cann.
This is my first time winning.
Yeah.
I never won the last
Gritty.
show.
Gritty.
Gritty.
Gritty. Gritty.
Also,
Gritty.
can we just say, hopefully, this is the last time Trump wins anything, right?
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Oh,
Unless
thank
there's
you.
like a biggest loser of history award, then maybe he's up for contention for that.
Well,
Otherwise,
yeah.
yes, full agreement.
Oh
No.
my gosh.
I just can't wait for Gritty to evict Trump from the White House. I really hope they
Yes!
just send him in,
That'll be great.
Just let him loose.
take him down.
I keep looking at that picture. His crazy eyes.
Yeah, they're
All right,
Googly
Donald, just
eyes.
get your shit. Let's get out of here. Blah, blah, blah.
But thank you so much, Paul, for having me.
Thank you,
Thank-
Paul.
Oh, thank all of you so much.
Oh, this has been amazing.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how much fun I've had tonight. Before we all say goodbye, it's plugs time. It's time to just share anything you guys are working on, anything you want our audience to remember.
Yeah, I have a podcast. It's the Rude Dudes Takedown. We've
Oh, man.
rebranded. We just basically talk about me and a fellow champion of the show, Chris Middleton, and Candace Meeks, and I all tackle the just terrible TV shows. Our most recent episode, I think that's coming out. We're doing Christmas ones, so we are doing The Princess Switch, Jack Frost. There's some other ones I can't remember. We're having a good time just taking down Christmas movies. Also, if you really like fan fiction, my good friend Candace Meeks did a fan fiction's live action, My Immortal. So
Yeah,
she
a
did
web
the
series.
web series about that. So
Hey.
if you really want to be like, what's this My Immortal? That's a fun one to check up as well. I mean,
Yeah,
also
yeah.
honestly, if you go into fan fiction for more than 20 seconds, you will find My Immortal. Like.
We're gonna have to get Candace on the show and see if Rude Do Takedowns
Oh.
can complete the sweep.
Right? Yes, she would love to. She's a prolific fanfic writer, actually.
She literally gets paid to do it, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, check out those things if you want some more content of me or people I work with.
Perfect. Yeah, Zoe.
I think everyone heard plenty enough about Ouija Shark. But I really did just release my first solo EP, and I'm very, very proud of it. And people are saying that it's nice. So if you go to zoetown.bandcamp, it is there for you. Pay what you can, so you can take it for free, and I won't even be sad about it. I did that on purpose. So it's It's there for you. I did it for you. Have it.
It's
I'm
great.
proud
It's
of it.
wonderful. It's great music to listen to at this time of year. I feel, wrapped up
It's
inside
cozy.
cup of tea.
It's you know, sad girl tunes in my bedroom. So oh god, now I'm just doing like finger guns and hands. It's just like
Best moment of the episode.
okay, that's how I'm gonna finish this sentence. Finger guns. Yeah.
Love it, Simon. Anything that you want to name check?
Just teaching improv at Talent Inc. Canada in Second City. So if you choose to check out some improv classes, I might be your teacher at one of those places. You can also just check me out on Instagram for any upcoming stuff I might be doing at Simon_McCamus on Insta. So yeah, that's it. Thanks so much, Paul.
Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, all three of you, again for appearing on the show. This has been one of my favorite episodes so far. I loved it.
Aww.
So please, everybody out there listening to this, take care of yourself, stay safe, wear a mask, and we'll see you next time for another episode of The Pen is Mightier. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Paul. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.